Let's see.
No, I don't have to keep the iPad plugged in while we do this, right? It'll.
You shouldn't. I don't believe
Okay.
so.
All right.
I sorry. I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Sains. That is Chloe Thomas. We're here to talk some Dark Shadows. Uh, my first question to you is when did you get into DS? How long have you been watching it?
Well, I watched as a child, and um, I guess I want to say about 5 or 6 because my mother watched it, and I always loved it. And then, the show ended, you grow up, and then last year, when Laura Parker passed away, I was very sad because she was my first um, role model, childhood idol, whatever you want to call it. So I started watching it again, and now I'm completely obsessed. As a child, you only have so much time to be obsessed because you're in school, but I'm just so wrapped up in it. I just love
Yeah.
it.
who who are some of your maybe not just favorite main characters, but favorite side characters? Do you have a specific one or?
You mean not my, because everybody knows who my main favorites are. Everybody knows. uh, so you mean my side characters other
Yes.
than okay, um, Nicholas Blair.
Yeah.
Love him. I think he's a great actor and very handsome.
Yeah.
Nancy Barrett,
Oh yeah.
Louis Edmonds.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Even though I think he was a little brat, I like David. I think he was a great child actor.
Yeah.
Um, who else do I like on there? Believe it or not, I like Jerry Lacey very much. I did
Yeah.
not like Trask, but I do like Jerry Lacey very much.
I I remember like when I first watched DS and on the Sci-Fi Channel, and because I had just read a Solomon Kane like book, and I saw him
Mhm.
dressed like his Reverend Trust. I'm like, man, that sort of looks like Solomon Kane. But, I mean, I knew who Humphrey Bogart was too, so like it was
Hmm.
sort of a mix. But yeah, which I found that amazing. I found. What did you think of the costume designs of some of the characters on the show? Really interesting.
The costumes, you say?
Yeah, the costumes. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think they were fitting for the period.
Yeah.
Um, I think some of them could have been a bit better because there were some gowns like Angelique wore or Laura, and I thought, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Why did they put her in that? But then there were other outfits, really. But there were other outfits that I thought, oh, it was perfect. Um, I always
Yeah.
liked Barnabas's outfits. They were, I don't know, he always wore everything with such flair and style. You could have put that man in a potato sack and he would have made it look good.
Yeah. I remember like me and Patrick and Gordon were going through the 1841 parallel time arc, and
Oh, mm-hmm.
Nancy Barrett, they had this dress on her, and she was like so thin, and we're like, I think they were doing it to make her because she's supposed to be the youngest member of the family, and I think they did that to make her look younger. It's like I don't think you need to do that to make her look younger, but
When she was playing Melanie, you mean, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
found that like I'm thinking, man, that's a very tight outfit for her to wear, you
Uh-huh.
know, you know. But yeah, there's. What did you think of? Well, the first ghost of Collinwood. Vicky's in the drawing room, and the lights go out during the thunderstorm. This is her first sort of Collinwood by candlelight, as Carolyn tells her. She's alone in the house. David is
Mm-hmm.
missing because she found the bleeder valve and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
he ran away to Burke's hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
And in the entryway in between the foyer and the drawing room is this dark figure that nobody, she's alone. She doesn't know what to think. Did you know that was a ghost when you first saw it? Like from an effect standpoint?
I think I did. Actually, the 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 shows before Barnabas, I have only seen once in the last year. But wasn't that ghost from Josette's portrait, or am I confused? Or is this the ghost coming down the stairway?
No, no, no. This is the ghost where she's in the drawing. Victoria Winters is in the Great House, Collinwood,
Okay, all right.
and she's standing in the drawing room, and the lights go out,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the storm, and
Right.
there's this figure, dark figure and she hollers out, who is it? Who's there?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no answer. What did you think of that?
Well, they were trying to convey a very gothic type of spooky Jane Eyre sort of feeling.
Yeah,
Um, and I have to say, I thought that the character of Vicky was much better before Barnabas came on. After Barnabas, forget it. But it was trying to convey a more romantic, um, gothic sort of, as I said, Jane Eyre kind of feeling. But then as that moved forward, that was still there, but it was more supernatural. Um, I always liked the show though, but I clearly remember as a child really liking it, like I had to see it once Angelique came on. um,
yeah,
Before that, it was interesting. It was different than any other soap opera my mother was watching. I'll say that.
yeah. It's really interesting because there's a character who had no buildup at all, and again, give Sam Hall and the writers a lot of credit.
Hmm.
Laura Parker a lot of credit too, because in one episode she gets that character over.
Hmm.
I've That's the one thing I've always found amazing about DS. I mean, there's characters who in story arcs that have at times no build up, but it goes over so smoothly.
Hmm.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
On the character of Laura or any of the characters.
Well, like we'll start with Angelique. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, she's a goddess.
Yeah.
I love her. I adore the character. I think she often got a bad rap.
Yeah.
Um, I think people treat her as a one-dimensional character, and she's actually multifaceted. She's probably the most interesting female character on the show. Um, Another character that I think, as you say, got it in one show and just seamlessly made the character their own is Humbert El. I always say Humbert Alfredo. I know that's wrong. I think of Alfredo, but Alfredo. I think his Nicholas Blair was perfect. I think when he came on the first time, he owned it. He Nobody else could have played that role.
Yeah.
I really think he's my second favorite male on the show. I just loved him, and I wish he had been on more frequently. He played several different characters, but his Nicholas Blair was the best. The Evan Hanley and Charles Dawson, they were good too,
Yeah.
but the Nicholas Blair, oh, just loved it. Um, I think I think whatever role Louis Edmonds played, he did brilliantly. He was a very, very good actor. Um, and Nancy Barrett, her Pansy Faye or um, Letitia, they were spot on. Um, but those characters are the ones that really stick with me. And then, of course, Barnabas. I mean, he. I mean, what can I say? Although I will say this, I actually like Bramwell better than Barnabas.
I do think Bramwell is a really well written character for Jonathan in
Yes,
1861. I think he does a really good job of playing a completely different character and the son of Barnabas Collins in Parallel Time.
correct.
You know,
Yes, correct.
which we did get a build up to Bramwell a bit when Barnabas finds that book in the hallway written,
Yes.
you know.
In the parallel of time that William Lewis wrote, the life and times of Barnabas Collins, right?
The life and death of Barnabas.
Put William to that.
William Hollinshead Lewis.
Yeah,
And yeah, did you?
and that's another character I forgot. I'm so sorry, I forgot.
No,
But
no.
John Carlin,
Yeah,
he was great in everything. I mean, when he played a little British cousin, or when he played goofy little Willie Loomis, I mean, he delivered 100%. He was very, very good too. The cast as a whole was there's not many casts like that where everybody has an understanding of their characters. They play them well. Yes, there were a lot of what do you call those flubs? When forgetting their lines, or the Collinwood fly, which is hilarious, or you see the cameras rolling, or somebody sitting off to the side in the mausoleum. But overall, it was a great company of actors.
yeah. I always like you feel Humphrey Alan Alfredo wasn't on the show like long enough, right?
Yeah.
I always feel that way about Marie Wallace. I would like the characters she got were really really great. She portrayed them
Hmm.
really great,
Hmm.
but it's like she was never on long enough for me.
She wasn't. She played Eve, and I
Yeah,
thought Eve was her best character. And she was mouthy and she was nasty, but she was gorgeous. And then she played Megan Todd. I
yeah,
didn't really care for the character of Megan Todd, but I did sure like her when she became a vampire. Yeah, I
yeah,
did.
yeah. Uh, I really love Crazy Jenny. I thought that was
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Crazy Jenny. Oh my God.
yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
It's here's this woman locked in the tower room, you know, getting baby dolls and
Yep.
food fed her because Quentin, her husband,
He's such
left with another woman.
he's such a tramp to Quentin. He just is. He's he's such a philanderer. Oh God. Yeah, he was not marriage material, but she did very well as Crazy Jenny. And even though they had her hair ratted, and they had her, looking kind of unkempt, she still looked so beautiful to me. She was very, very good. I don't know how I forgot about Crazy Jenny.
I mean, again, it's another one of those characters that she plays. It's not on there a lot.
No,
Like
nope.
the character, like she stabs Quentin, and
Yes.
then she gets killed by Quentin himself
Yep.
after Barnabas convinces Angelique to bring him back from the dead,
Yes.
and she gets killed. And that's when Magda, who's her sister, lays the
Right.
werewolf curse on Quentin.
Right.
He,
Yeah.
in a way, in a weird about way, Barnabas has sort of assisted in the werewolf curse happening. Like,
Yeah. As much as I love Barnabas, he always had these harebrained schemes, and I wanted to shake him. Like, what is wrong with you? Mind your own business. Uh, but um, you know who else was really good? And I forgot. Thayer David,
Yeah.
Elliot Stokes, Ben. I loved him as Ben, especially. He was so good. He
Yeah.
another very good actor. And Grayson Hall as Magda. That
Yeah.
was her best character on the show. I don't care what anybody says. I could watch Magda all day long. She was great.
Yeah. What did you think of Thayer David as because he was the second actor to play Matthew Morgan? What did you think there?
Um, he was okay. I mean, he's a good actor. I've seen him
Yeah.
in other things. I've seen him in Columbo. I've seen him in some movie. He was in Rocky. He
Yeah.
was in Save the Tiger. He's a good actor. I really enjoyed him though as Ben, and I did like him as Elliot Stokes, although he was a little bit pompous sometimes. But he always brought, he always delivered the character, and he was very good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed him very much.
I really enjoyed the line where Barnabas is wanting to borrow the witch's medallion.
The talisman.
Yeah, the talisman from
Yes.
him. And he's like, well, I'll show you the talisman when you show me the witch. And I'm
Oh, yep.
just like,
Yeah. And you can see that Barnabas is getting so aggravated with him. Like, just, I'll give you $1,000. He says, well, I won't be able to pay that back if I want to buy it back.
like
Yeah.
I mean, right, because with the Collins family, like money is no object.
Right.
But
Right.
but now you have a character who's not necessarily about the money. It's like, no, you're really asking for an odd object here.
Hmm. Right. Right. And they're not plentiful either. And you know who else would get a bad rap, but I liked him? Dr. Lang. I
Yeah.
thought Addison Powell, I think he had been on almost every soap opera. Very attractive man. He has great voice, but he always screwed up his lines, but I still liked him. I enjoyed him when he was on. I thought he was great, although the scene where he's dying after Angelique or Cassandra
Yeah.
accidentally goes too far with that pin. And he drags that death scene out. Okay.
I think you're right. Addison Powell was so terrific as this mad scientist who's
He was.
having Jeff Clark dig up dead body parts, and then I there's like the most shocking part of it too is he pulls a gun on Barnabas, willing to shoot his own person he wants to participate in the
Right.
experiment. It's like
Right.
this dude's out there.
Yep, he is. He definitely was. Um, but that was a really good storyline. Of course, it was a takeoff of Frankenstein's monster. Um, and that Robert Rodin with the makeup they did on him, he really did look like sort of a Frankenstein. More attractive, obviously.
Yeah,
But
Robert Rodin was really. I love how they, first of all, they put him in the basement. They treat him like they're basically raising him in a sense as an adult, trying to teach him to be an adult. And Barnabas says, "I'm not the best teacher," you know.
that's true.
And,
Some I thought it was sometimes comical. I mean, I know it was supposed to be serious, but um, when I started rewatching the series, I have gone through the series, not the pre-Barnabas episodes. I only did those once, but from episode 200, whatever it is, 11 up
yeah,
until 1245, I've gone through that series 3 times in the last year. So,
wow.
because I always think, oh, let me see this again. I want to see if I missed anything. But in that storyline, I thought it was kind of comical with um, Barnabas and Julia like acting as parents to this 6'5" man, and then they have Uncle Willie who's abusive to him.
Yeah,
I mean, he really was nasty to him. But
yeah.
Willie had been abused by Barnabas, so
Yeah, I mean, you had your sprinting Willie fresh from Wincliffe, the insane
yes,
asylum. Here's
yes,
here's a man who, prior to that, had more holes in him than Swiss cheese, thanks to the Collinsworth Police Department.
Yep.
You know, the finest. They went to the Vermont Cranston / Shadow School of shooting somebody. You know, and because they know how to shoot, but
Mhm.
you know, I think John Carlin just shows so much range, being that crazy Willie Loomis.
Oh, I think he was really good. He
Yeah,
he 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 really was. And I always forget to mention him. And you know, it wasn't until I started rewatching the series that I realized how good Nancy Barrett was.
yeah,
When I was, of course, I was only a kid. I didn't like her because she looked like somebody in school that I went to school with, so I didn't like her. You know what? I'm 6, I'm 7. What do I know? But rewatching it, I'm like, oh my God, she's really good. And you know, she could really sing, she could really dance. I believe she took ballet, I read somewhere. Um, she was really good. She really was. And you know, it was just a great cast. Although there were some characters and actors I did not care for, but you know, I think we all have our likes and dislikes.
yeah. All characters with shows, and you've seen enough shows. You know, probably more than
Yes.
I have. That not all characters are the best written characters, and the actors have to make the most of them.
Yeah.
And but I think Dark Shadows did a very good job of making well a lot of their characters. What did you think? Speaking of characters, what did you think of the first appearance of Dr. Julia Hoffman?
Okay. Oh boy. Okay, so um this is my feeling about, are you asking about the character or the actress? The character?
Yeah, the character.
Okay, the character. When she first came on, I liked her.
Yeah,
She was smart, she was savvy, she had a goal. She was a research scientist, physician, um, you know, trying to find this cure, but she never had come across the specimen, which turned out to be Barnabas. But I thought she was savvy. I thought she was really good. But then when she started to have feelings for Barnabas, which I don't know why she would, because when he first came on, he was a predator, he was evil, he was sinister, and he was probably suffering from PTSD after being locked in that coffin for 175 years. But still, he wasn't a nice man. Um, but as the story went on and on, um, she lost her edge to me as a smart, self-sufficient woman, and here she was, a puppy dog following this supernatural creature around, and especially after he convinced her or forced her to kill Dr. Woodard. And that right there goes against the Hippocratic Oath. And she was willing to go along with that and forget her principles. Yes, he was forcing her. Yes, he threatened to kill her and all that. But I also think part of it was because of her feelings for him. Um, and he, in my opinion, he really never gave her the time of day, um, ever. I mean, as the story went on, as the years went on, I think he cared about her very much as a friend, like a sister. But he had her do things that you wouldn't ask a woman to do. And the one thing that really sticks in my mind is it was in the 1840 storyline, and uh, he finds himself attracted to this Roxanne.
yeah,
And yeah, and I just whatever. And he asks her, Julia, to go to talk to Roxanne and ask her not to marry Trask because of how he feels about Roxanne. And yet here he is married to Angelique. And there Julia goes, runs off and does his bidding and ignores her own feelings and her own self-respect. So, as I said, as the years went on, I think she became too wrapped up in him and she made him her life.
Yeah.
And um I didn't go for that too much myself. I liked somebody like Angelique, who was strong, independent, wouldn't take any nonsense. She, she had a little bit magic on her side, but girls got to do what a girl's got to do.
A friend of mine years ago had asked me about Barnabas and Angelique being married, like you just said about, and
Hmm.
I said, listen, you can't have the ink dry on the divorce papers when there was never a divorce, file,
Right.
you
There was
know,
never a divorce.
right? So it's a little joke, yeah, it's a meant to be a joke, but it's true. I
Right.
think I do think with Julia Hoffman, I want to touch upon what you said. I do think that another friend of mine made a joke about this with Dr. Dave Woodard dying. It's just Peter Turgeon. Uh,
Hmm.
but I do think if it were Julia that stuck the needle in his arm and not Barnabas, I
Yeah.
think there's no recovering for that character. I think the recovery starts with it's Barnabas that does it,
True.
and you know what I mean. Like and she tells him like we're done. Like you just murdered this man, and like because she was trying to convince him like come on Dave, don't do this.
Right.
I
Right.
I sort of think because again Dave Woodard called this. He before he ever found out Barnabas was a vampire, she was in love with Barnabas head over heels. Like
Yep.
she,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Christine Pearson Caratiles Between the Shadows. They asked him. I said, when do you think Dr. Hoffman fell in love with Barnabas? When do you think what the moment was? And they said when Julia said, "Bite me, just take my blood."
Yeah.
I
Right. Right.
I agree. I think once you go down that road, for her, there's no turning. Like she loves him no matter what.
Hmm.
To her, but there was like a wrong for her. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but
Oh no, that's quite all right.
there was a wrong for her when he murders Dave Woodard, a person who was her oldest friend. And then we learn when Barnabas, this is after Barnabas fights Carolyn, she's starting to work for him now, and he pulls out this black book of black magic, and it's like, he brings the ghost of Dave Woodard to haunt her,
Yeah.
and
And he was evil.
yeah, I mean, it's really interesting storytelling because you're
Oh
seeing
yeah.
how far he'll go.
Oh
Like,
yes.
it's I, and then you get the ghost of Sarah Collins.
Yeah.
What did you think of the ghost of Sarah, Barnabas's little
Little
sister?
sister.
Yeah,
I think she was the only one who brought him to his knees
yeah,
at that point, and that she had that power over him. Um, and once I remember it was in the parlor room, and Julia was there, and they played that London Bridge song,
yeah,
and he was in tears. Like I said, I mean, I think Barnabas had PTSD going on. Who wouldn't?
yeah,
And he was a misfit in today's society or that time society because 175 years had passed. I mean, if we were in a coffin today and resurrected 175 years later, we'd be out of place too. We wouldn't know what the norms were, what society was, what things had changed. So in that way, I'm sympathetic towards him.
yeah.
But and maybe that's why he acted the way he did, so defensive and so evil, because he didn't trust anybody, which was understandable.
I have
Um,
a weird question. Well,
sure.
a non-Dark Shadows question for you because I've always. Have you ever seen Jason Lives?
No, what is that?
It's Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Oh, I've seen Friday the 13th, but I'm not sure if I saw that one. I thought you meant Jason McGuire. I said, what are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
no, no, no. The reason I always joke because people talk about Barnabas being evil about
Mhm.
coming out of the coffin. I'm like, well, at least he wasn't Jason Voorhees and started killing a bunch of people. And like,
That's true.
you know,
Yeah. Well,
but
he did kill people. He
right,
did.
well, yeah, yeah. But the first that's something I want to talk to you about too. The first person they have him axe off, get rid of, is Jason McGuire. How important that how important is that? Do you think?
That he killed, well, he strangled him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Jason was breaking in. Wasn't he looking for the jewel? Willie was looking for the jewels. That's when he got released. But Jason too knew that something was up, and he went down to the coffin, and Barnabas strangled him. I'm glad Barnabas killed him. He was no good. I mean, he was terrorizing Elizabeth. He
yeah,
was a shyster. So that was a good one for me. That's okay. He could kill him. But you know, when he killed Dr. Woodard, and the only reason he killed Dr. Woodard was for self-preservation.
yeah.
But I'm glad it wasn't the first Dr. Woodard, because I really liked that guy as opposed to that last one they ended up killing. Anyway, um, no, the first actor who played Dr. Woodard, he was the best.
Yeah, he was.
I
I
liked him.
do. I'm with you. I do think if if it's because again, Peter Turgeon is the one who they kill the character of Dave Woodard. They kill off. If it were the previous actor, I think a lot of people would not have gotten over that one.
I agree. I agree. Because I'd like, oh, I like him. But I
Yeah,
remember that when Barnabas did kill him, and he said, "Don't mock me, don't mock my fear and my pain." I thought that was such a heartfelt and pivotal moment, because Barnabas was in pain, and he had been suffering. And not that that's an excuse to kill anyone, but it certainly gives you shadings of the character, why he does what he does.
yeah. What did you? What's your? I have so many questions. I'm jumbling.
Oh, that's
What's
okay.
your? What's your?
I could talk about this all night.
Do you have? Do you have a favorite? Because there were weddings on the show at times. Do you have a favorite wedding?
Well, of course. Barnabas and Angelique.
There you go.
I mean, those two, they they belong together, and
Yeah,
nobody can convince me any different. Um, I loved their wedding, even though there was blood instead of champagne, and the
yeah,
bride got thrown in a grave, and the groom found pins in her suitcase and a doll. But that was the best wedding. I'm
the,
trying to think who else got married. Oh, Victoria and Peter Bradford, and then they disappeared, which was
yeah.
good because they should have disappeared. Um, let's see who else got married. I think that's the only one we really saw. No, no, no. Carolyn and Jeb, they got
Yeah.
married.
Yeah. We have Millicent and Lieutenant Forbes, or
Oh, yeah. I like Joel. What was his Joel Carruthers? I
yeah,
like him. He was a very handsome man, and I liked him. But he was a stinker as Lieutenant Forbes when he turned on Barnabas, and then Barnabas had to show him what was going to happen. Millicent, she was taken advantage of.
yeah,
Um, but Joel Haskell, not Joel Carruthers, I liked him too. I was sad that when he left and he went on, I think he went on to Somerset, and then he went on to The Edge of Night.
yeah. I love how they write his character off. Though. They don't kill him off. They send him
No,
off the cliff. I thought that
yeah,
was a smart move.
yeah, yeah. And that was after Angelique had sunk her teeth into him, right?
That it was that, and after that he was going to expose like Chris as the werewolf
Yep,
because
yep,
it
the werewolf.
and Barnabas and Julia are like trying to protect Chris, so they just say, "Oh, he's crazy." It's like,
I know. I I always think of Barnabas and Julia as the gothic version of Benson and Stabler, you
yeah,
know. Just
yes,
and I have to say, being a huge SVU fan, they're incompetent as detectives, but that's what they remind me of. They're like just harebrained schemes.
there. Well, again, you have. I think that's the interesting thing about the S is Barnabas, who's a vampire and does know black magic, has a book on black magic. Later on, he meets like the Leviathan, who he's never heard of.
Right.
And so you're dealing with this supernatural world that is even bigger than what your supernatural curse is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there's Julia Hoffman, who's and she tells Barnabas, "Hey, there's been people like your condition." She doesn't say who they are, but
Right.
when she tries to treat him with blood transfusions and stuff, but even she is shocked and perplexed because again, you're dealing with again a larger world, not just Barnabas, but
Mm-hmm.
a larger world of the supernatural, like Jeremiah's wraith,
Mm-hmm.
who shows up to Angelique because she did summon him, but he shows up to her like after she gets married to Barnabas,
Right.
because she has no control of him anymore. Um, so and then too they went down into hell. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what
Yes.
did what did you think of Satan and hell?
You, are you talking about when during the Leviathan period, or when Angelique went down to complain about Nicholas?
Oh, when Angelique went down, I complained about.
Oh well, I figured like if she was going to HR to complain about her boss, and I'm like, you go, girl. You tell him what's up,
Yeah,
because I did not like when Nicholas slapped her. I mean, that
yeah,
was a ooh, that was a forceful slap, and wow. I mean, I know it was just acting, but it really came across as forceful, and I'm glad she went to HR. I call HR. I'm glad she went to his boss. And even though I like Nicholas, I'm glad when he got that retribution on the cliff, and Barnabas is over to the side with that evil grin.
yeah.
But then Nicholas comes back because he orchestrated the whole Leviathan thing, and then poor Angelique. Here she is, happily married, finally forgets about Barnabas, is married to
Skyrumps.
Sky Rumson, but I call him Doofus because he was pretty, but that was it. Um, and find out Nicholas Blair was just behind it. But Nicholas was shocked who Sky was married to too. He had no idea about that.
Yeah,
But a lot of people don't like the Leviathan storyline. I actually did.
yeah. It's really interesting because I really love the breathing in it because I mean, this is like 10 year this is it's 11 years before John Carpenter's Halloween before
Yep.
you're going to hear that breathing behind the
Yep.
mask of Michael
Yep.
Myers.
Yep.
And you sort of hear that in the Leviathan arc, this heavy breathing,
Yep.
this scare, and you don't see the monster. It builds that terror
Right.
of what is it,
Right.
and really great job. And I think really too, Christopher Pennock, what an actor. I mean,
He was good. Yeah, he was good.
yeah,
Um, I also like Michael Stroka.
yeah,
I loved him as Laszlo and Aristide, but he was good. And Bruno, what a
yeah.
head of hair he had. I mean, oh my God. But he was very good too. Um, I thought it was amazing how they kept they Megan and Todd get this baby, and
Yeah,
then a week later it's what, 5, and then it's 10, and then it's
yeah,
13, and then it's Jeb. Um But that's how they age people in soap operas anyway, so I shouldn't have been surprised. You know?
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, this is even well before The Omen, the movie The Omen.
Oh, yeah, with little Damien, yes.
Yeah, and it's like here they have this. I don't know whether you want to call it a child of Satan, but child of Leviathan for sure.
Yeah.
But he's pure evil.
Yeah. Well,
And
there was David too. Don't forget
yeah,
about him.
yeah, yeah. David was the warm up to the kid to the Leviathan child,
Yeah.
basically, right? I mean, he
Yes.
was.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, David was sort of the original evil child of Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and somebody once said, "How evil was he?" I said, "Listen, he removed the bleeder valve from his dad's car. Like Jesus, how evil do you need him to be?"
I know. I know. I mean, oh my goodness. But I will say he was a fantastic actor as a child. I mean, he was a fantastic child actor. He was.
Yeah.
And so was that Denise Nickerson, but she got on my nerves. With oh, oh, David, you know, I just, oh. But they were both very, very good.
Yeah, I saw her in Willy Wonka before I
Yep.
saw her in
Hmm.
DS, and it's like
Hmm.
then because again, like I didn't see Dark Shadows until I was a teenager,
Hmm.
and it was like drew my attention immediately, and so. But what's some of your favorite special effects on the show?
Special effects. I like when they did the dream curse and how they had that. It almost looked like a kaleidoscope where
Yeah,
the actors would walk into it.
yeah,
I like that, and I like how they had, of course, when they make Barnabas disappear or Angelique would just disappear, like she would fade away. And you could always tell when they one of them was standing had been filmed by that green screen because they kind of were green, had edges green around them when
yeah.
they superimposed it onto the other scene. Um, I like that. Oh, and I liked that shadow. Do you remember the shadow?
Yeah,
That
the shadow Angelique cast
yeah,
and
for I liked that dancing shadow against the wall. Um, the show was very, very innovative for its time, and from what I've read, it was filmed and done on a shoestring budget, and you know, when I watch it now, it doesn't seem dated to me at all.
yeah,
It, I mean, you can see like if they go in the cemetery and they walk past a tombstone, sometimes the tombstone moves because it's made of foam and not cement. But
yeah,
I think the show has held up very well. I mean, it's compelling. The acting is overall very, very good.
yeah.
And the the musical score
Yeah.
throughout it's beautiful. In fact, I have that in my car. That's what I play going back and forth to work.
See, now I have it on my computer, so I play it when I'm writing.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love it.
So, what did one of my favorite special effects? Even though it's the simplest thing, I really love the vampire key. I think
The
that's
fangs?
yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed the
Oh,
hell out of that. I know it was difficult for some, but that that and one of my favorite things too, from an effect standpoint, is when Josette first comes out of that portrait. I,
yes, yes, that was good. Yeah, I forgot
yeah,
about that actually. Yeah, that was
that,
very good the way they did that.
yeah, that blew me away. Like
Hmm.
I made it to that episode when I first watched DS, and I was never leaving. Like, because it's like, man, this show's really interesting. Like they're hinting at ghosts
Right.
throughout the whole, show because you keep hearing the town people say, "Well, Collinwood's haunted. Collinwood, it's this haunted house," and it's like, well, is it really?
And
Because
it's cursed.
right, you're asking as an audience member, And then when you start to see the ghosts and you hear these weird sounds, it's like, oh man, yeah, it is.
Yep, yep, yep. It. Oh, you know what else was really good?
Yeah.
Special effects, I guess. But when Julia and Barnabas were in 1995,
Yeah.
and Gerard Stiles and the zombies tore apart Collinwood, and everything was just crashing down. Do you remember that?
Yeah, 1995 is my favorite arc. And the
But they were only
zombie,
there for a minute. It wasn't there very long.
9 episodes of terror. Yeah.
Yeah, and because that's when they went had to go back to 1840 to get Daphne and Gerard Stiles and all that other stuff. But that was I thought that was really good the way they did that.
Yeah, they see the devastation first and wonder what happened because they weren't there,
Right.
and then they have to warn everybody when they go to this 1970 and nobody's listening,
Right.
and then they have to witness the destruction literally. And
Mhm.
that was, yeah, really really creative by the writers, because it's really the 1995 arc is the beginning of the Judah Zachary arc.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And
Yes.
who who do you think is the most fearful villain in DS?
Uh, you for me or for because I really wasn't scared of anybody, honestly. Um, but I think I I think Judah Zachary probably.
Yeah,
But other than him, I think many people were afraid of Angelique because you never knew what she would do.
yeah,
But over Nicholas Blair too, but Nicholas was kind of smooth. Um, but probably I would have to say Judah Zachary. You know, he had him in his head, and
yes,
once he once he possessed Gerard Stiles, I mean, there was no stopping him. He would do anything.
one of my favorite moments in 1840, because it's Desmond Collins, Sean Carlin's character, who brings the head, and
Yes,
he's
as a
going,
gift.
yeah, he's gonna get right, he's gonna give it to Quentin as a gift, and
Yeah,
then he finds out his brother's dead. He's like, oh, then I'll keep it.
yeah, yeah. I thought, oh, that is wild. And you have a headless body, and that, of course, that's based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow and the
Right.
Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I liked about Dark Shadows. They always borrowed from great literature, and I love all those classics and the way they would take the story and then turn it and put their own spin on it. A lot of times they made it better than the actual story, uh, the way it was originally written. But um,
Anytime I watch that episode where Desmond brings in the head, I always look at my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna get you one of those one day for your birthday, and she just shook her head at me like, no. But yeah, it's just really interesting, like, because again, you had characters who were obsessed with the occult,
yes, yes.
like the Collins family. You had all variations of Quentin, the OG Quentin in 1840, the Quentin in 1897,
Mm-hmm.
or obsessed with the occult.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that?
Oh, I love it because I like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I like witchcraft, and I mean, I like the idea of witchcraft. I like
Yeah.
the black arts. I like black magic, all of that stuff. Um, and I don't know that that sort of thing is how do I want to say this? I'm one of those people who think that positive thinking, or not positive thinking, whatever you think and keep in your mind is what you will manifest in your life
Yeah.
throughout the universe. And I think a lot of people think of that in those days as magic.
Yeah.
Um, but to be really have those type of supernatural powers, I don't know if there's ever been anybody who's ever really had that, because if there are, I'd like to meet them, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind having some. But I love I loved all of that. I mean, I've been to seances, I've been to tarot tarot card readings. Oh, what was her name? Grayson Hall. Oh, Aunt Natalie with all her tarot cards. I
Yeah. Yeah.
loved that. Um, you know, Angelique and her incantations. I like all that. You know, I'm there for that. I like it.
I I've been to a couple Ouija board readings,
Hmm.
and some of them are just wild.
Yes.
But yeah, it's it's fun to watch. Like I never participated in it. I would just watch, And I'm just like, and my one friend's like, he's like, I bought this thing today, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit here until I get a reading. I'm like, you do that, but it's like, and I feel like he did too. He sat there until we got until he goes, it's moving, and we're, none of us are saying anything, and
Uh-huh.
and some so he goes, should I go to bed? And it went on yes. It's like, what
Oh my gosh.
kind of question is that? You can ask a question, and you're gonna ask it that. But yeah, I that is interesting.
Mhm.
What did you think of Count Andreas Patofe?
Oh, I thought that was probably, I forgot. I don't know how I forget, but because I do love, I like Thayer David as Ben. Ben is, I
Yeah,
just love Ben. But the Patafi, however you say it, character, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was just, it showed his acting range more than any other character. And then when he was actually Quentin in
yeah,
Patafi's body and his whole demeanor changed, he
yeah,
I thought he was great. I really enjoyed that. And
yeah,
that hand, oh, that
yeah.
special effects, that hand was wild. It
Yeah,
was
I was, yeah, I
just,
was.
did
So
you
sorry.
like that?
Yeah, I always every time I talk about the hand, I said Dark Shadows had its own Infinity Gauntlet. It was the hand of Patofe.
Uh-huh.
It's,
Uh-huh.
it's,
Yep. It
and
was,
yeah, he had his own. That's the thing too. He didn't necessarily need the hand because he had his own power.
mhm,
He needed it to live.
right.
And it's like,
Right. And that was another thing when David was actually Patafi. I'm telling you, that kid was brilliant in that time period. I mean, he was always good, but as Patofi, he was just brilliant with his little smart aleck smile. You wanted to slap him. He was so good. That's what I mean. When you watch the show, whether you like the actor or actress personally, or you like the character or not,
right,
almost not, there's very few who did not deliver.
yeah,
The cast always delivered,
yeah,
with a few exceptions. But it was really, it's like watching a theater company, it's like going on Broadway every night and watching some drama. And it was excellent. It was just excellent. And I just love it. I watched episodes today.
yeah.
What do you think of yours,
Yeah,
Ben?
that's funny because I watched because I'm going to be reviewing a couple episodes here after a bit.
Which
But
episodes did you watch today?
I'm going to review episode 82,
Which one is
or
that?
sorry, not 82, but 84 or 85,
Oh,
and
that's
then
early. Oh, okay.
because I'm doing the whole thing, and then I'm going to review the first episode of the Leviathan arc. And so it's like
Hmm.
I told my wife, I said this stuff is amazing, and
It
because there's
is.
something I want to see with Barnabas and see if I'm trying to see if I'm right or wrong, and I
What do you
want
want to see?
I want to because Barnabas is portraying himself as evil during the Leviathan arc. He's being very obedient towards them.
Yeah.
And sometimes with like shows or movies, sometimes when you're facing an insurmountable odd or character, it's up because the Leviathan are like everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking to see if Fritz Barnabas is more doing the evil acts to fool the Leviathan more than anything else. I don't, I could,
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't know. I'll try because I'm not just going to watch one episode, but
Oh, of course, of
right,
course.
you know what I mean? I want to see because I know eventually the Leviathan pay him a visit again, and they said this is what you're supposed to be doing, but
Yep.
really, really, real quick, it was Jameson too who Potofe, yeah, gave a kiss on the cheek to, and yeah, he became David Hennessy's Jameson Collins
Right, right.
became Potofe. That black glove hand,
Yep.
and
It was so good. The kid was so good.
yeah. What did you think of Charles Delaware Tate?
Not much.
Yeah, I I really thought. Well,
Did
here's
you
the
like
thing.
him?
I did because I thought
Oh,
that we were going to do even more with him during
oh.
the Leviathan arc, but
I
they didn't do too much more with.
I don't care for that actor at all.
Yeah,
So, like I said, there were some actors that I just no. Um, he was not one of my favorites at all.
yeah,
Um, the only time that I thought, well, he was kind of goofy, I felt, but he was really goofy when Laura, when he was Dirk, and
yeah,
then he had become a vampire, and um, that's the only time that I thought that he was, you know, all right. I just did not care for that actor, but
yeah,
the story was good. The story was good, and painting those portraits, and then he painted Quentin's portrait, which poor Quentin.
yeah.
and
The
then this he painted what they painted the south view of Wales over Quentin's portrait, and that was found
yeah,
in Rumson's apartment during the Leviathan period.
yeah, and that's the thing too. He paint. There was Angelique's portrait, and then there was the portrait of Amanda Harris.
Yeah, oh, those were so pretty, Amanda Harris's. I liked that storyline with Amanda Harris, and then going back in time. You know what that part reminded me of, sort of? Did you ever see the movie Somewhere in Time with Jane?
Yes,
It reminded me of that.
nice.
Yeah,
It, it, her character's death, I should say, when she jumps from the bridge,
yeah.
and I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge she's on. The way they
Mm-hmm.
sort of present that, it
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of the if you've ever read The Living Shadow, how Harry Vincent is introduced to the Shadow. He's on the Brooklyn Bridge. He's going to commit suicide,
Mm-hmm.
and his reasons are the same as hers
Mm-hmm.
because or hers are the same as his, if you will. She's going to jump because Quentin's not there.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to jump because his wife left him for another man,
Mm-hmm.
and he jumps too. But the difference is the Shadow grabs him by the arm and pulls him back up to save his
Mm-hmm.
life,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "You can either work for me or go back to what you were doing." You know,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yep.
but she doesn't get that offer because Mr. Best death. It's
Yes.
too late.
That guy was good too for the short time he was on. He was really good.
He was amazing. When you see his sort of waiting room in DS, they showed like this little waiting area. Do you think Tim Burton got inspiration from Dark Shadows for Beetlejuice there?
Do I think Tim Burton got inspiration from? I'm sorry, say that again.
From Mr. Best had sort of this waiting area, right?
Right.
Okay, well, there's a wait in Beetlejuice. There's a waiting. It's not the same exact thing, but there's a waiting area for dead people in Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Do you
maybe.
do you think Tim Burton got inspiration from Dark
Well,
Shadows?
Tim Burton was a fan of Dark Shadows as a child, so
Yeah,
I don't see why not. We all draw from our experiences.
yes, we do.
Yes, so
Absolutely,
probably.
absolutely. Um, I don't have any more questions for you at all right now. I'd love to bring you back on. You are more than welcome to come back.
I
Um,
would love to. I was like so excited when you asked me. I'm like, why? How does he know me? Why is he asking me?
I
I'm nobody.
I just try to ask fans, and I know some fans are nervous about this, and I understand. I do. I don't want anyone to think I hold it against them. I don't.
Hmm.
But I have always had an open door policy on this channel.
Hmm.
All are welcomed here.
Hmm.
You know what I mean. I don't want anyone to think they're not. They are.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I randomly ask fans at times, hey, would you like to come on? And it's either usually it's no.
Really? Oh my God. I could sit here and talk about this all night long.
Usually it's no. But so yeah, I could too. I just gotta get my kids to bed. But
Yeah, okay, okay, that's fine.
right. um, yeah, well, I'd love to. When when's the next time you could come on?
Um, I could come on. Usually I work, so
Right.
Mondays and through Thursdays aren't great, but Friday nights are usually good, or Saturday nights, whatever is good for
Okay.
you. I'm not nervous about being interviewed. It's just about getting on this darn Skype thing because.
Yeah. Well, now that you're my contact, it should be easier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It should be a little easier. I'm trying to
Um,
see. So I'm trying to see calendar wise on. How about how about December 13th? Would that be
some
good for you?
what is that, a Friday?
Yeah,
Yeah, December 13th. You'll
yeah.
send me an invite, right?
Well, I don't need to now. I have you as a
Oh, okay.
contact. So I could just
How would I
that's
contact you? How would we
right,
contact?
right. That's how the so that's the thing now. Now that I have you as a contact, you could just come on and talk to me, and we'll talk
Okay.
to you. Let's talk. Would you like to talk and review House of Dark Shadows with me?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. I'd love to do an episode with you too one day too. That would be fun. Um,
What do you mean do an episode? Oh, review an episode?
yeah, review an
Oh,
episode.
yeah. There's a lot of good ones.
Yes, there are. Yes,
I
there are.
mean,
Absolutely,
there are a lot of good ones.
there are. There are many, many good ones. Like there were times I know me and Patrick, and then we're picking them like at random, and it's like
What's
it's
your
like
favorite episode? Can you tell me?
my. This is gonna sound corny. I enjoyed the whole thing.
I did
Um,
too, but I do
but
have favorite episodes.
my favorite episode of all time, and this is literally the first one because Victoria Winter. Here's this train barreling toward you,
Uh-huh.
and here's this woman. You have no idea who she is, and then she introduces herself as Victoria Winters,
Uh-huh.
and she says she's going up to call this place where and it's just like, girl, are you crazy?
Uh-huh. Yep.
But she has no idea what she's in for. I mean, it's literally the start of a journey. You have no idea where it's going to go when you're watching
Uh-huh.
this. And I think that alone is why episode 1 is literally my favorite episode.
Oh, okay.
It sounds corny, but it really is.
No, that's fine.
If
We
I
all like what we like.
Now if you twist my arm hard enough, I would I would probably say Angelique's debut, 368 and 369, I think.
Oh,
It's
that was actually any episode with Angelique is one of my favorites,
yeah,
um but yeah, when she first came on, that is up there for me too.
yeah,
But I think my favorite all-time episode is when that gosh darn Barnabas finally admits to himself the whole time that he's loved her all along. And then he
yeah.
goes to tell her, and after she's done everything, you know, and saved his despicable little family once again,
Yeah.
then he goes to tell her, and then what happens? Jerry Lacey shoots her. But It's just so romantic to me. I
Yeah,
don't know why.
Lamar Trask just shoots her. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, yep. For no reason, by the way.
Well, she admits that she was a part of a cult. She was a witch, and it's like,
She was bewitched by Gerard Stiles in
yeah,
1692. She was an innocent girl.
yep, yep. And here she's gonna get shot for her troubles, and
Yep,
Artemis Hall hollers for Julia, and
yep, 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 yep. I just could watch that episode all the time, and I always cry, but I love it.
I think too, a good episode is where Angelique is sitting at the old house in 1897, and Quentin's looking at her, and she disappears because she's put this spell on to get rid of Laura, and she's made a double of herself, which
Oh,
is
yes.
really, really good.
Yep, yep,
Really
that
good.
is.
It's sort of the build up. It's sort of the lead up to she's going to make a doppelganger of Barnabas
Yep,
later on. Yeah,
yep.
really. But I'm sorry to cut this short if I have.
Oh, that's okay. No problem.
But I do want to thank you so much, Chloe, for coming on
Sure.
and chatting Dark Shadows with me. I really enjoy
I
talking to
love
you
it.
as the fans. Uh, if you want to look, send Chloe a friend request on Facebook. It's Chloe Thomas on Facebook. She does awesome memes, by the way, too. I really enjoy seeing those, by the way.
Oh, memes?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, my memes.
yeah. I think that's really creative. That's really
Oh,
awesome.
I like doing all of that.
But you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you on the 13th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.